Okay, today on the bench we have an old Attacking Martian. This is the Horikawa classic. The name Attacking Martian has been used by so many toys, but this was one of the originals, and they basically made them in three different colors that I'm aware of. This is considered a brown, then there was a dull silver, and gold. And there were also variations in the face. For example, this is the one that we refer to as Fly Eye. But there was also the astronaut face, where you had little windows and you could see the astronaut's face on the inside. There were also versions where this head, this is all metal that we're looking at here, but this actual part of the head, this is plastic. Now there were ones that were all tin in the head as well. Now the ears, the eyes, and the mouth, those are metal. And in the case of this particular one, when it was brought, these were all rusted. And so I give it a new little chrome paint job to help that out a little bit and cleaned it up. Also in the inside, there may be enough light. Let me turn the light on this camera. There, you can see the white gear in there. That gear is on the motor, and that's referred to as the pinion gear. And the gear that was in the toy when I received it was split, and they're always a green plastic gear, so that had to be replaced first. Another problem on the back, you can see the Made in Japan tin. In the battery box, the contact here had been bent in such a way, I guess I'll leave that light on, in such a way that when the battery's in, it actually could push up and touch against the frame. Now this particular contact here goes up to this switch, and the other side of that switch goes right to the frame of the toy, which becomes a common connection for all the electronics. So every now and then that contact before, I've reshaped it more like the original, would touch, and even without having the switch on you could get the toy to run, which wasn't good. But the same type of thing was happening down here in the lower half with the battery installed. New batteries have different bottom ends than the original old ones. If it made a connection here, then the motor would be running off a single battery, and if you happen to have the switch on, this battery would actually be shorted out. So you got to make sure your battery switch contacts are working right before that'll get you anywhere. To get inside, if you need to work on one of these, this whole top piece here is tabbed in the front here, and you can see it's bent in the back here, so it slides on that way. Then what holds it all together is you have these tabs which you remove, straighten out the pins, and then pull that part off. Once you've done that, you can then slide this whole part off to get and see into the inside, which can be helpful if you've got a broken wire or need to replace the pinion gear or something like that. This particular version, there were versions where they had lights in the head as well. This is the non-lit version. All the wiring in this is still original, hasn't been fooled with. It does have mechanically linked arms. They're a little bit loose, but then again, when you're 65 some odd years old, your arms will be a little bit loose too. They're linked to the leg actions so that they swing as the robot walks. When the robot stops walking, that's when the guns and these doors open up and come out, and the guns flash with a clicking sound. This particular case had definitely been played with by children a lot, and when children play one, they bang them up and down. They try to forcibly move the legs when they don't have batteries. They scoot them forward and pull them back. All those things have different problems that they cause. For example, if you scoot them forward and pull them back, the rear wheels, and these are the ratchet wheels, the front ones are just idler wheels. But the rear ones, it'll chew them up. It's rubber. The ratchet part is the rubber part of the wheel, and the ratchets are locked. And if you're forcibly trying to move it the way that it's locked, then you tear the rubber up. So in the case of this one, I had to get into the feet to do linkage repair anyway, because the toy had been slammed up and down numerous times, so that the metal part of the linkage connections inside the feet were bent, and the bottoms of these feet plates were bent. They weren't flat anymore. So I had to get in there and work on that, and as long as I was in there, I went ahead and swapped the front wheels, which are not ratchet wheels, with the rear wheels that are, so that the ratchets would continue to work after those were chewed up. Replaced, like I say, unbent the linkage as best I could. One of these feet, this one I believe I actually had to shim a little bit. I couldn't undo the damage of the bend. Now at the top of the legs, right here you can see there's a seam, there's a piece of metal there. And this one would be up inside. Basically there's a piece of metal that's tabbed on with 3 tabs, 1, 2, and 3, and then that piece of metal goes up inside the robot, and it has the slot in that the crank moves to move the legs back and forth, and it also has a pin in it in the top, which is what the arms are linked to make the arms move. In the case of this one, someone, again, I'm sure it was a kid, had taken the leg and was trying to manually move them by hand, and rather than breaking the crank and the mechanism up inside, which I'm thankful they didn't, it did tear loose this tabbed area and that whole piece, so that was all sloppy. So this leg was super sloppy and it wasn't going to walk very well. So back to the motor. Besides replacing that pinion gear, which I already showed you, I'll show you again. Also lubed the motor shafts and put a spray of motor cleaner on the brushes. And this thing really runs. It runs like new. Let's go ahead and I'll hold it once you're in front of the camera so you can see the set. Backfire. You can see the gun's only light when they're firing. And it's quite a fast walker, as you can see. The motor is running like new. They were very peppy, very fast walkers originally. If you've got one and it's running slow, the odds are that the motor is going to need oil in the shaft and a shot of cleaner on the brushes. But there you have it. A classic Attacking Martian, Horikawa style tin walking robot, repaired.